I've always said that we may never understand fully, like the reasons why. I've used words like senseless. I don't think that anyone could really make any sense truly over what he did. But what I'll say is that I do know that the worldwide pandemic, COVID, was a source of concern for the gunman, and that he had done many things that would suggest that he was preparing for a number of breakdowns in infrastructure. For example, we do know that he had purchased a significant amount of gasoline. We know that he liquidated assets into the form of cash money, and that he had stockpiled food. All the kinds of things that people would do if they believed that, regular structures, infrastructure would start to decay or collapse, and that he'd voiced concerns about the pandemic, and that he wanted to be prepared in the event of things not normally working the way they normally would. And that even includes comments that he made to individuals close to him about the replica police vehicle. His comments were is that if he needed to escape, that he wouldn't be challenged if he was driving such a vehicle. So that's included. We can't ignore those realities and those facts. These are pieces of information that were shared with us from people very close to him, and the evidence was clearly there. We've uncovered video evidence of him purchasing the gas. We know through his financial transactions that he actually did those things.
In terms of the gas, there's also, when you're looking at that he purchased a large quantity of gas that he ended up, or some people have said, used to burn properties. Is the gas also being viewed as evidence that he was plotting this mass murder?
So what I'd say is that if, absent of COVID-19, if you were to take those things, meaning the purchases of the gas or the construction of the mock police vehicle, taking out large significant sums of money or liquidating assets, standing by themselves, certainly they would look or appear as if someone was planning to do what actually took place. But then when you lay that over top of comments that he had made over the course of time since the pandemic started, that he was concerned about that. And I would imagine that if you were to ask individuals, just regular normal people, did you try to stockpile extra groceries? Did you fill up an extra gas canister? Did you take out a little extra money from the bank? Well, I'm going to be the first person that's going to admit I took out a little bit of extra money to have cash money on hand. I actually filled up a couple of extra gas tanks. I filled up some propane tanks. I personally wanted to make sure that I had things for my family, and that's not unreasonable. So again, without the COVID-19 or the pandemic, those things would be highly suspicious. But considering what's happening in our world right now, again, it's to the extreme. However, it appears that he did many things to the extreme, and that provided him, I think, with the necessary tools to carry out what he had done.
Have investigators determined that he was planning this attack? Was it premeditated?
There's been no evidence that he was pre-planning this. Now, what I would say is that people close to him had spoken about comments that he would make that were, I would say, offside comments, but no direct information that someone has come forward and said that they believe that he had this particular plan, that he was going to execute this plan in the way that he did, on the date and the time that he did that. No, we haven't covered anything like that at all.
And so is it your understanding that investigators who've spoken with people close with him, that they thought that he was preparing because of the pandemic and nothing beyond that? That's
the information that we've been provided, yes.
The RCMP car and the decals didn't, he purchased his car some time ago before COVID started. So how do you reconcile that with that he was getting it ready to escape if need be?
Yeah, well, that's a good question. We've asked people why the car. Again, we're not in the mind of the individual, so we really don't know. And we do know that he had purchased police cars. I mean, they're not expensive to purchase once they've been taken out of fleet. He didn't start constructing the police car until the fall, and of course the pandemic hadn't hit at that time. What people close to him, when they asked him about it and why, and many people knew, many people from the community knew about that police car and that he was constructing it. Why he was doing that, and the answer was is that it was to be like a representative of fallen officers. So people bought that story. But why he wanted it, needed it, decided that he was going to do it at that particular time, obviously we'll never know.